Good morning. This is Gina Ann Costigan, and I am here today with the podcast of 50 and Fabulous, What We Have Learned Through the Trenches, sponsored by Main Street Mortgage. And, I have the honor and privilege this morning of having Miss Toni Caruso. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so excited to have you. I've heard so many things, and I know I've seen you speak. I just had to, kind of go back in my mind and remember when I saw that through eWomen Network. But I'm going to kind of go back a little bit and where you started and where you're at and kind of what your goals are for the future. I know you have an amazing bio, you have an amazing background, and we're just going to kind of dive in and, start and see where you started and see what you kind of been through and see where your end result might be, what your goals are for the future. So
I love it.
Just going back a little bit. I mean, this is something that you should be so proud of. You've been married for 26 years. I mean, that gets a thumbs up. You moved to Dallas or outside of Dallas. And we talked about your son. Your son, Rocky, came back from serving in the military, and thank him for his service.
Thank you.
I love to talk a little bit about the family, and that's amazing. You guys did the move. Didn't plan on doing the move?
No.
Tell me about it.
Well, I think it's interesting because I was born and raised in Sacramento, moved to Southern California when I was 25. Thought I would never leave California. Loved it.
Right.
I started out as a secretary because my mother always felt like the two best jobs for women were to be a secretary or an airline stewardess. And then you married you married your boss or you married the pilot, and that was your life.
I love it.
So I was the first one in my family to graduate college.
Me too.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
And I got a degree in communications, and I just started out as a great secretary. So I was an assistant to everybody in the entertainment world pretty much, and became a talent agent. I mean, things I had no journey, no straight and narrow. It's just like, this sounds fun. I'll do that. Oh, then I'll do that. But all in all my jobs, I was always in charge of the events, putting on the holiday party, doing the conferences, doing the masterminds. And so when I decided at the age of, I was about 37, that I just wanted to do events. And so I got certified as an event planner and took off from there doing events. I had always been doing them, but it was just, I was only going to do those. And then I didn't get married till, talk about 50 and older. I didn't get married till I was 41. And I didn't have my son till I was 43.
Oh, wow.
So everything in my life has been a little later.
Well, you know what? It's never too late for anything.
Yeah. No. And, I always thought that I'd marry a man who already had kids because I was 40 years old,
Right.
And then he wanted to have one. And we went through the whole infertility, in vitro, donor eggs. I mean, we're going personal here, but I just want to share my story that, if you have a goal and you want something bad enough, just educate yourself and get there, and you can do it.
Right. That's so true. It's funny because we have a lot of things in common. Toni, I actually was the first person in my family to graduate from college, and I'm a speech communicator background and business. So those are a lot of things we had in common. And I really kind of wanted to do the flight attendant. I thought that was going to be a great career because I love to travel. So I'm like, I'm going to be a flight attendant, travel for free. I thought that was all going to be just, a perfect thing. So we have that in common.
Yeah.
But it's funny and I do all the event planning for Main Street. I do all the events. I've always thrown great parties for my daughters. It's something I enjoy. So I respect everything you do because there's a lot of work that goes into events.
And I started out doing small events, and it built into an incredible business where the average event was 600-700 people. It was a lot of work, but I loved it. I loved every minute of it. But then as we know, March 2020 happened, and everything stopped. So my business stopped. It was going to be my biggest year. My clients are all coming after me going, what do we do? Toni, do you think if we move it to June, it's going to be okay? What about September? And I'm like, I have no idea.
Right.
Nobody knows,
Right.
And it was a very stressful year for me. So I reinvented myself and got on a one-on-one with the founder of eWomen Network,
Yeah.
Sandra Yancey, and we did a one-on-one little mastermind. And she said, what do you love to do? And I said, well, I teach the business of speaking, because being in the back of the room for 40 years, you've seen a lot of speakers, good
Right.
and bad,
Right.
and I see that they make a lot of mistakes. So I used to do these back to school for speaker events in Thousand Oaks.
Oh,
And
okay.
I said, I love doing that. And she said, all right, let's turn it into a coaching program. So it became a
Wow.
coaching program. And then when I moved here to Dallas, they loved what I was doing. And so they asked me to take over their speaker network. So
Well, I
my
mean,
Academy for Speakers came under the eWomen Speaker Network.
okay, because I have here, I was going to say you're the executive director of eWomen Speaker Network, which is
Hmm.
fantastic. I've been in eWomen for probably 6, 7 years. I
Right.
love when Sandra comes out. It's always an amazing day. I love Julie, actually, I'll be talking to a little bit later, who runs our Calabasas chapter. And it's just such a great network of women and some men. I've had
Yeah.
Neil on my podcast as well, but I just really enjoy it. And I think that eWomen Network, and for you to be involved right there in Dallas, I mean, must be such an exciting time and fun for you.
Well, it's great. And I started the Calabasas chapter, and I'm just so thankful for Julie. I can't thank her enough,
Yeah,
because
she's amazing.
I handed it off to her, and you just don't know, is she gonna take care of my people? These are my people. And she's doing a beautiful job and built her
Yeah,
entire community. She's doubled the number of people in that room. She's amazing. So that's been really fun to watch. And yeah, eWomen Network, what I love about it, it is a community. And so no matter where you go, where there's a chapter, it just feels like you're
it's
going home
home.
when you walk in
Yeah,
the room. Yeah.
it's definitely it's one of my favorite groups, and I belong to different networking groups and
Hmm.
chambers and all kinds of different things. I've networked now for 10 years straight. And eWomen Network, I always look forward to that meeting and the speakers and the lunch and sitting around and doing just your networking with your table.
Hmm.
And it's just one of my favorite groups. I've met some of the most amazing women that have become dear friends of mine. And it's been, and I've known Julie, gosh, I've known Julie through her Mary Kay, and, we go
Right.
way back. So it's been great watching her take over that chapter. But just going a little bit, I mean, you have 30 years of this experience. And what would you say are your biggest hurdles or challenges? And what would you say are some of your biggest wins at this point right now in your career?
Right now, my biggest win is taking the speaker network, because it was kind of a non-starter in
Mhm.
eWomen, and building it into a place where people can come and not only learn how to build their business through speaking on stages, but to understand how to do it right and how
Right.
to do it and monetize every inch of the event. A lot of people are speakers I see, I just want to get paid to speak. And that's really the wrong mindset. It's not about people giving you a check when you walk off the stage. It's what you're bringing and what you're sharing with the audience, and your authenticity and your stories, and then asking them to follow you on your journey and maybe join your journey, and you make more money. I want to say it's offering from the stage. People call it
Right.
selling from the stage, but offering from the stage, you can make a lot more money than if some corporation hands you a check. So it's understanding the different mindsets and understanding the different types of stages and where you should be speaking. People are like, "Oh, I just love to speak. I'm going to speak everywhere." Well, not everywhere is your audience.
Right. You have to
So
really
we really
understand your audience.
Right.
Yeah,
We
it's
really
important.
focus in deep on who's your ideal client, who's your ideal audience, what's your stories, what's your message, what is your mission, and how can we bring that audience to understand what you've been through and understand that they can get through it as well, because that's the whole point, is to help people. And it's just not to get up there and share your story.
Right.
It's to share your story so that you can let other people know that whatever you've done, they can do it too.
Yeah, no, it's very important to know your audience. I've learned that, and it's very important to send your message, but yet make it meaningful for them so they could take
Right.
it home and, do something with it, not just like you said, get up and speak. Because, speaking is hard in general for a lot of people. But, when you do it as a communication major, I think we have a little bit of advantage. We learned a little bit in college, I think.
I think
From what I
it's a little
remember, I
bit.
think I did. But I had a lot of fun in college, but I took some aspects that I do remember. But you also have something else here. It's the Academy for Speakers.
Right.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
That is the business that I had while I had Caruso Signature Events, which was my event company. And then
Okay.
I had the Academy for Speakers where I taught the business of speaking. And so the Academy for Speakers was built on helping people understand the business of speaking. But when I brought it to eWomen, we have now expanded it to an event that we're traveling now all over the country called Speakonomics. And
Oh,
so it's
wow.
not
Okay.
only the business of speaking, but we have Sandra Yancey talking about your easy yes offer. And we have Brianna Day coming in and talking about how to use AI in your speaking career. We have people coming in, experts on branding, on podcasting. So we're putting everything together in a 2-day event so that you not only learn how to show up and be professional and work with an event person, but how to make the most of that stage and share your message in an authentic way, and then offer your services, whether it be a free gift, whether it be a coaching program, whether you're selling your books at the table in the back of the room, but how
Right.
to do it the right way, and then how to show up and get on podcasts and to be prepared when you're on those podcasts. I don't know
Right.
about you, but I don't know if you're interviewing people and they show up and they have no idea what they're doing, and you're talking to them and every answer is a yes. Uh-huh.
Luckily, I've
Yeah.
been pretty good
Like
because I asked for the
expand,
bio. I can, yet, luckily, and I know a little bit about them, but if not, it's been a really good way to just kind of go back and forth. The last person I had on my podcast, I learned so much from her. And it was
Awesome.
great. But the podcasts are fun to do, but it's always nice for us at Main Street and for myself who does 50 and Fabulous, what you've learned through the trenches. I always just like to hear everything, what you started with, like I said, and kind of how your career has progressed. And so tell me a little bit. So do you work one-on-one with Sandra, who is the founder of eWomen?
Right. Sandra, I go in the office a couple times a week,
Okay.
and yes, we do work one-on-one. Or she walks by my desk and says, "Hey, I was just thinking about something," and then I'll say, She's got this adorable dog, Dash, and so she'd be throwing the ball down the hall with Dash, and we go, and I have a lot of input. It's just been great just being around her and around that office. You learn so much by you just osmosis. It just
Yeah.
is like there, and you're listening to conversations going, oh my goodness, the way that she handles things. And I've had some issues and problems, and it's nice to have someone you can go to and say, hey, listen, how do I handle this? And she's just brilliant
She is
at
brilliant.
really cutting it all down and knowing the right way to respond to an issue or a conflict or something, whereas you get the right outcome instead of just that knee-jerk action. But what I love about where I am in my life and where
Mhm.
you are, and I love the fact that you're interviewing women over 50, because we don't really know who we are. I truly believe we don't know who we are
No,
until we get into our late 40s and 50s.
no,
I
I
am not the
agree.
same person I was at 25.
I
I
say
would
this all the
not have,
time. I am
yeah,
not the same woman I was at 30, not even 40.
no, no, and thank God.
Right.
I'm so,
I feel the
we're
same
so
way.
much
Well,
better now.
50 is the new 30. So I'm like
Yes,
53. So now I'm 33 with
yeah,
a lot more experience and a lot more knowledge, I think, at this point. But I feel the same way. I mean, we learn so much. So if we could put all those attributes that we've learned into something and
right.
really try and push and make the most of what we're doing in our careers, I think it really, brings a strong force into what we are passionate about. And I'm passionate about working with women, or, like I said, I've had some men. That's something that I really enjoy doing. And I love learning from you and everything that you're talking about. And you have so much knowledge
Well, thank you.
in the communication fields and working with, I love that you're working with Sandra. So once a year they have their big conference in Dallas.
Hmm.
So tell me a little bit about that, because I really would like to attend next year. So is that something that you are, the forefront of
I'm not the forefront of it. I must
Okay.
say that is Sandra and Kim, and Brianna, they've been doing this for years. It's an amazing, and they've expanded it. It used to be the first day was like pre-conference.
Right.
Now it's day one. So it's a 4-day conference. And we are taking the knowledge of a lot of our members and having them share from the stage, which is nice. That showcases, some of our made it to 1 million and people who have been there and in the trenches, and they're sharing their stories and their knowledge with audiences. My portion of it is I handle the speaker network, and in these Speakonomics events, we have launched North America's Next Greatest Speaker Contest.
Okay.
So we have done it now for a year. And so at each Speakonomics, we have 10 people that have applied previously to be on the stage, and we've chosen 10, and they do a 3-minute TED Talk. They tell a story,
I
they
love
tell
it.
something, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And we have a panel of judges, and those judges choose 3 people in each city. Last year we did Denver, Dallas, and Orange County. This year we're doing Atlanta, Colorado Springs, Dallas, and Phoenix. So we're going to have 4 options. So that's 12 semifinalists will come to the conference on day 1, and they will do their 3-minute talk in front of a new set of judges.
Oh,
And then
wow. Okay.
3 of those will be chosen to be on day 4, which is the final day of conference, on the big stage, and they give 6 minutes. And we have a panel of judges on the
Oh,
stage, and they choose the winner. And Viviani Pearson from Austin, Texas, won in August of 2023. She was amazing. But it's a fun event.
Yeah,
And
I
it
think I'm
gives
going to really try and go next year. I'm really excited.
yeah. Well, and the knowledge and the information from the stage is great. I mean, you learn some amazing things, but to be in a room with 600 entrepreneurs, women, all e-women, well, most of them are e-women.
Yeah.
And so it's the community that you're in with. And you will have, I don't know, Calabasas might have 20, 22 people there, so those people, but you get to know so many more people and just expand your reach and your relationships throughout North America, because we have a lot of Canadians in the room as well.
That's amazing. I always think it's so important too, because I mean, you never know when you're going to need someone back east, or if you're going to need someone in Florida, or you're going to need someone in Dallas, because I also belong to a Women's Council of Realtors, and it's been a great resource because sometimes I need a realtor in Utah, or I need a realtor, I have someone else moving out of state. So I reach out to my network of women, hey, I need some help over here. But this has been a great way of doing and learning through realtors, the same as eWomen Network. So it's always nice to have a big group that you can expand with, just in case, you need somebody out of state, just for whatever reasons.
Right.
But no, I do look forward to going to that next year. And I've always heard about it, and just timing wasn't right. But I think next year I'm going to make sure I put it on my calendar. So,
well, you have yours, I think, in Calabasas in February.
I thought usually it's in the summer, I thought.
No, well, the conference is, but I'm sorry, I was confused. Sandra comes in February to your summit,
yes,
and then she offers conference at that summit. So she usually gives a couple bonuses or something.
Yeah, that's usually, I think if we sign up that day, there's some bonuses and so forth. So yeah, she'll be there, and I'll definitely be there. And
awesome.
Well, anyways, there's something out you talked a little bit about, is your golden ticket to unlocking breakthrough results. Just move a little bit on that and go forward a little bit on that.
Well, I believe that if you are not speaking in your business, you're missing out on one of the greatest attributes you have to build a business. People are always like, oh, I'm just going to do coffee dates, or I'm going to get on the phone. It's so much better to go one-to-many than one-to-one. So if you are not speaking in your business, and it could be just speaking at your local chamber, or speaking at the Rotary Club, or opening up your computer and having a webinar, or inviting people to do a virtual event. This is the time, because people are now used to the virtual world, and
most definitely.
Right. And they want to get out and they want to get in person with people. And it used to be that, oh, nobody's going to show up unless there's 60, 100, 200, 400 people in the room. Now, if you get 20 people in the room, that's a really good event.
It is.
And smaller numbers convert faster. So if you have a smaller group, you will be able to get a little more intimate with them. You'll be able to get to know them better. They'll be able to get to know, like, and trust you better. And 10 to 1, you will convert. Your ROI will be better in
Better.
that room.
Yeah.
So maybe you can convert 5 people out of 20 to a $5,000 program. My gosh, you've just made $25,000.
It's true, because I've done big events with 100 people, and I got one application or one person that was interested and it didn't fall through. Then I had one event that we were just talking about. There was one couple that came and one agent, and I've ended up doing their home and refinancing them 3 times. So sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I only had 3 people, but I went back yesterday, just John and I, my partner, were talking. That was a great win, but they're also amazing clients, and I become friends with them and their kids. And so it depends. And I like that you said that, because sometimes I'm like, I only got 10 people, but sometimes those 10 people become some of your best clients.
Exactly. And I always tell all my speakers, just because they said they're going to have 50 in the room and you show up and there's only 20, do your best job. Go
Yeah.
out there and share with them, and bring it as if there's 200 people in the room.
Yep.
You'll be able to have a better conversion rate. There's a amazing man, Bo Eason, who's local in Westlake, as a matter of fact. His son is one of the quarterbacks on Oaks Christian
Oh,
football
okay.
team. And he speaks all over, and he gets paid to speak big bucks. But he was telling a story that he walked into a room and there were only like 10 people, and it was a huge theater. And I mean, it was like one big empty room.
Yeah,
And
big goose egg.
he gave it all, and he did an amazing job, and he didn't sell anything. And he was walking out to his car, and there was a gentleman that came up to him and said, "Hey, that was an amazing talk. I really love that. I'd love to connect you with my boss." And he goes, "Okay, fine." What turns out, his boss runs this huge international investment company that he now that gets onto a jet, and he has flown around the country
Oh,
to give
wow.
these talks to these sales teams. And he is the closing speaker after Tony Robbins. So
Oh
Tony
my
Robbins
gosh.
opens for him and he closes. So
That's
you just
amazing.
don't know who's in the room.
It's so
So
true. It's so true. And it's not what you know, it's who you know. I've always said that
right,
to my daughters. It's not what you
right.
know, guys, it's who you know. So broaden your horizons and meet more people.
Well, and with eWomen Network, I always say, people say, well, my clients aren't in the room. I said, yeah, okay. But they might be married to them. Their
Right.
best friend could be your client.
Yep.
Their next door neighbor could be your client.
Yep.
They know hundreds of people. Why are you giving up and saying, "Oh, I can't find anybody in this room that's I'm going to work with"? Well, you
Right.
don't know who they don't know.
Yeah,
Get to
most
know them, have a
definitely.
relationship, have conversations. I mean, so many times I have, like, walked into a room and be talking to someone and they say, "Oh, I have been looking for such and such." Oh, I have a perfect person for you, you
Uh-huh.
know, and
Being a
I connect
connector.
them.
Yep. Being a connector is just one of the best. I feel good when I'm a connector, because people and they call me and say, "Hey, Gina, do you know this?" Or CPA, or financial
Yeah,
planner, insurance. I'm like, "Oh, sure." That's part of being in sales. I feel like that's part of being a networker. That's part of being just in a community that you respect, and that, you've been working in, like the Caneo Valley, and, from here to Ventura to Santa Barbara for the last
right,
10 years. I've been in the industry for a long time, but this is where my heart has been for the last 10 years. And it feels good to be a connector, to help somebody when they need it.
right.
That's always something that I, try and do my best at.
Well, we believe in lifting first, sharing always, and
Yep.
lifting while you climb. And
Yeah.
so, and that's not the way of a lot of women. We've been brought up to be competitive against each other. Oh, she's prettier than me. She's smarter than me. And the world has done that to us. So we're trying to switch that around and say, hey,
Yep.
come on, ladies, let's all join hands
And
and
support
let's
each
do this
other.
together. Yeah.
I'm
And it's
firm
an
believer in
amazing,
supporting,
yep,
support women, support. Yeah, I mean, we all know what each other's been through, pretty much supporting
right.
women. And that's so important. That's what we should be doing, and being kind.
Yeah.
And, being kind goes so far, and it's so
Yep.
easy. It's free. I always say being kind is free.
Well, and
But
I
you
tell
know
my
what?
son all the time, I know, if you just keep giving good, good will come back to you. And don't do it just to get something to come back.
Okay. So, anyways, so we are just about at the end of our podcast. And I just can't thank you enough for taking the time. First of all, I know your busy schedule, and it was, we had a little bit of fun trying to get this together and the time difference, but thank you first of all for being my first Zoom podcast. And thank you just for coming on today. I truly appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you at one of the eWomen, hopefully soon.
Well, I will be there in March at the
Oh,
meeting in
good.
March. So we will see each other then. And thank you
Okay.
so much for your time and for all the confusion we went through.
We
It
got
all
it.
ended
We
up
got it
okay. We
going.
like it.
And we're here, we're
thank you.
dressed, we're here, we're ready to go. But thank you, Toni. You have a wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing you in March.
Awesome.
Take
Thank you.
care now. Okay, bye.